Turkey launches air and ground operations against Kurdish YPG fighters in Syria, straining ties between Ankara and Washington. Hello, I'm Anand Naidu and this is The Heat. For over 2 weeks now, Turkey has been involved in an assault against the People's Protection Units, or YPG, in northern Syria. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan launched Operation Olive Branch to drive the Kurdish fighters out of Syria's Afrin district. Turkey has long considered the YPG to be terrorists and wants to secure a 30-kilometer buffer zone along its southern border. Both France and the United States have expressed concerns about the operation, which targets a group the U.S. has supported with arms, training and air support in the fight against ISIL. We begin our coverage with CGTN's Michal Bardavid in Istanbul. And Michal, before we get to the current operation, this is Olive Branch, what has been Turkey's involvement in the Syrian war so far?
Well, Anand, Turkey has been very involved since the beginning of the conflict. Turkey has been supporting the opposition part since the conflict began. Turkey has actually been fighting on the ground together with the Syrian rebels. They've been supporting them on the ground. Now, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has also stated that there should be no future for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad for Syria. So that's a main stance for Turkey as well. Turkey has also been part of the Astana peace talks in Kazakhstan. Turkey is part of the 3 guarantor states together with Russia and Iran. Now, during the Astana peace talks, they've also established some de-escalation zones, and Turkey is also present in Syria because of these de-escalation zones with the Turkish troops in Syria as well. And Turkey has also been deeply affected by the Syrian conflict because of the spillover into Turkey. There have now been over 3 million Syrian refugees are now being hosted in Turkey. So Turkey definitely wants to have a say in the future of Syria because of this as well. Anand?
Right, let's look at this current operation, this offensive, Olive Branch. What is the objective of this mission for Turkish President Erdogan?
Now, Anand, first of all, Turkey wants to clear its border of the YPG Syrian Kurdish group. For Turkey, this group is perceived as a terrorist organization. Now, Turkey believes that it is a terrorist organization because of its affiliation with the PKK, Kurdistan Workers' Party, which Turkey has been fighting with for decades now. So Turkey wants to clear its border area from the YPG, and it's important to understand that since 2015, the YPG has been able to capture a lot of areas along the border from ISIL in the fight against ISIL. So Turkey now says that the YPG is also a threat for Turkey along its border, and Turkey does not want to have a Kurdish autonomous state or a zone along its border. So it sees it as a security threat, as a national threat for Turkey, and that is why this Olive Branch operation was launched. Turkey says that it will continue until they clear the area in Afrin, and then they will continue on to Manbij as well. Anand?
Michal, the United States has about 2,000 troops in Manbij as part of the international coalition against ISIL. Does the Turkish government plan to send its forces into that region, and could we see a situation where U.S. forces could be facing Turkish forces?
Well, that's the main risk at the moment. Yes, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has repeatedly himself stated that they will, in fact, move on to Manbij, and that's where it's going to get tricky, it's going to get complicated, very, very sensitive for these two allies. The United States is there present with about 2,000 U.S. troops. They are there actually supporting, training the YPG, the same group that Turkey sees as a terrorist organization, the United States sees as an ally in the fight against ISIL. And this has been a specific issue of conflict between the two NATO allies. Now, the United States says they will not withdraw the troops there present in Manbij, even if Turkey does move forward, and Turkey says it will indeed move forward. So yes, it is a very risky situation for the two. Actually, there was even a statement made by Turkish officials recently saying that if the U.S. troops are potentially wear YPG uniforms in that area, Turkish troops will not be able to make a distinction between the two, and they will be perceived as terrorists for Turkish troops as well, which would make it very, very dangerous for Turkey and for the U.S. allies as well.
Thanks, Michal. That's CGTN's Michal Bardavid joining us from Istanbul.